All right, guys, I wanted to do a quick post-game report on this Alabama versus Texas A&M game. Saw a lot of interesting things, but I'm happy to say that it turned out how I expected it to, stat-wise, and the reason why Alabama won was because of things as I said. Um, the game at times appeared a little bit closer than what it was. Uh, there were a lot of interesting things going on. But in the end, it worked out. Alabama was able to run the ball, like I said. Texas A&M couldn't really consistently run the ball like they would have liked to. And as I said, Trevor Knight, who's only completing 53% of his passes, struggled at times. They scored touchdowns on, you guessed it, his perfect throws, the throws that he was able to make down the field. Other than that, they stalled. As a matter of fact, we can isolate their scoring to two sections of the game. Texas A&M scored a touchdown right before the half, and they scored a touchdown on their first drive of the second half. Other than that, no touchdowns, no field goals. They scored 14 points on those two drives. And those were the only two consistently moving drives the whole game. And Trevor Knight on the touchdown on Josh Reynolds, it was a perfectly thrown ball. Anthony Averett was in perfect man-to-man coverage. Josh Reynolds caught the ball, touchdown. On the second touchdown, Trevor Knight threw the ball down the field. Ronnie Harrison was perfectly covering Christian Kirk. Perfectly thrown ball, dropped right in the breadbasket in Christian Kirk's hand. Touchdown. Other than that, he was harassed. He was running the ball, dropping the ball out of his hand, throwing the ball into covered areas because his receivers honestly weren't that open. Alabama's secondary covered up the receivers all day, even on plays where it's like free plays thrown down the field. Marlon Humphrey, Anthony Averett, and Ronnie Harrison were covering their guys one-on-one in man-to-man coverage, like I said they would, and A&M could not beat it. Like I told you guys, Trevor Knight would have to beat Alabama's man-to-man coverage with perfect throws every time for them to win that game, and Alabama wants you to do that. They force your quarterback to make that throw, and if he cannot do that, they will not win the game. And as it was decided, Texas A&M had about only 280 total yards in this game. 280 total yards. They didn't even get 200 yards passing. They didn't get 200 yards rushing. They didn't even get 150. I don't know the total amount for their rushing. But they didn't move the ball particularly well. And it showed. A lot of fans of Texas A&M and non-SEC people, they were talking about penalties and all these other things. There's no such thing as a penalty deciding to play the game, especially not one targeting call when there's a 19-point difference. That targeting could have possibly been called, but it still didn't determine the outcome of this game. Alabama was just a better team. We outgained Texas A&M by 450 yards to 280. Texas A&M was not the better team. The game looked closer than it needed to at times, but Alabama was clearly the better team. Now, what I did notice, though, that Jalen Hurts has to work on that down the field touch. He's missed too many throws down the field, or he's underthrown. The play that Ardarius Stewart early in the game in the second quarter, he underthrew him. It was like 4 minutes and 5 seconds in the second quarter. Ardarius Stewart caught it, but the ball was underthrown. He had to wait on it. Also, he missed Calvin Ridley down the field again. He missed the back shoulder fade to Ardarius Stewart that would have been a touchdown, and we had to settle for a field goal there. He has to work on that touch. He just missed too many. The game would have broken open if he had hit some of those passes. Also, like I was saying, Texas A&M, while their pass rush, their defensive ends are great, they can't stop the run. It showed. Damian Harris had 128 yards rushing. Jalen Hurts, well, he had over 100 yards rushing. I think he lost a few yards on that fourth down play where he had to just slide in bounds. But he would have had over 100 yards rushing. I think Alabama was close to 300 yards rushing in the game because Texas A&M cannot stop the run, and Alabama was consistently moving the ball. The offense would have looked much better if Lane Kiffin and the offense had continued to run more running plays. I think they wanted to make sure Texas A&M didn't key on the running game and only look to stop the running game and force Hurts to throw. But the issue is, if it's working, just keep running. And I think that's one thing we're going to need to see coming up in the future. But the offensive line blocked really well in running. At times, Myles Garrett was just too fast, and he got into the handoff exchange point a few times. But other than that, Texas A&M was they were dominating on the line. Speaking of though, I got to give credit to Dalen Mack. Dalen Mack, number 5 on the Texas A&M defensive tackle. His interior play is amazing. He has such quickness. He was able to get inside of Lester Cotton. He got inside of Bradley Bozeman. He got inside of Pierce Barker. Watch out for Dalen Mack. That guy is a future star. I just got to give him credit. He was a monster in that game. He showed up every once in a while. For the most part, we had him covered, but his athleticism and his talent showed. So, oh yeah, as I was saying, our receivers were running open actually the whole game, and like I said, because Hurts has to work on that timing and hitting those passes, he'll get them eventually. But their cornerbacks, they couldn't cover our receivers. They really couldn't. But they were open. Their safeties played pretty well, like I said they would. Their safeties were great. Armani Watts, Justin Evans got Justin Evans continued to play, and I think Donovan Wilson was the one who got ejected for targeting. Their safeties played great. Their defensive line did their job in spurts. But like I said, their cornerbacks are weak. Their linebackers didn't make that much of an impact, and ultimately our offensive line was just really good at blocking. This game could have easily been 49. Yeah, could have easily been 49 points, 42 points. Like I predicted 42 to 17. It could have easily been 42. Texas A&M made plays when they need to. When they got into the red zone, John Chavis, give him credit for the plays that he called. But yeah, Alabama was clearly the better team. There's nothing more you can say. The D line batted down the ball consistently. That was really good to see. I was glad to see Dalvin Tomlinson get up there and knock the ball down a few times. And honestly, the defensive line just did a great job on their combo play the whole game. So they had to stop the run and they had to pass rush Trevor Knight on these quick passes. And at times, because they had to do that double duty, that gave Trevor Knight the time he needed to fake out a defender and run for a first down or throw an intermediate pass for a first down. But for the most part, they did their job and they rushed him in combos and they stopped the run in combos. If you don't get what I mean, I'm saying you saw it on some of the plays toward the end of the game where Jonathan Allen would rush from the inside and force Knight to the outside, but Ryan Anderson would be waiting for him on the corner. So Allen would rush him up, Knight would run to the outside, Ryan Anderson would be there. He would have to throw the ball away or take a sack. Tim Williams did it with Ryan Anderson earlier in the game. Reuben Foster and Tim Williams did it earlier in the game. They did a great job of not trying to over pursue and do their job, and it worked. Like I said, because Trevor Knight's inconsistent, if you force him to do these things, he's eventually not going to be able to continue to make the perfect play, which he only did on 2 drives the whole game, which is why they got 14 points. And honestly, at the end of the day, there were no like huge, big plays. They hit a couple passes down the field that kind of jump started some of their drives, but there were no huge plays, if you get what I mean. Sad thing that came from this game, though, is that Eddie Jackson got hurt, and we don't know how serious it is. Hopefully, it's not a bone injury or anything like that. Maybe just some soreness in the leg, or like hamstring or whatever it could be. It didn't look crazy serious, but they said he couldn't put pressure on it. So hopefully, good things will come from Eddie Jackson. I didn't see Jeremy Pruitt call a lot of blitzes today. I think I saw maybe one Reuben Foster blitz earlier in the game, and he got pressure. But he probably just didn't want to take any chances on leaving gaps open in the defense. The second string played earlier and earlier. I saw Joshua Frazier. I saw Hootie Jones, Christian Miller early on in the game, in the second quarter, actually. So that was good. They're building depth. And that's honestly it for this post-game report. I'm probably going to come back and give some more details later on. But thanks for listening. Later on in the week, I might do a normal post-game thoughts video if I get into some more specific plays, but I just kind of wanted to paint the picture, the overall feel of how this game went. And at the end of the day, like I said, Alabama wins this game like I expected them to. We ran the ball. We forced A&M to try to play a perfect game, and they didn't do it. It's just that simple. Alabama wins 33-14. Be on the lookout for future videos. Thanks, guys.